もう洞窟の川に流れてきたんだ。きっと奥にお宝ザクザクだぜ。
洞窟までの案内はクロム、てめえに任せるぞ。
おや、
科学使い2人と洞窟、他に誰も見ちゃいねえわけか。
Hello everybody, Megazord Xer. I'm back at it again to give y'all another exciting episode review over Dr. Stone, and this time I'm going to be reviewing episode 22, The Treasure. Now, due to some unfortunate events, I honestly thought I was not going to be able to review this episode on time and be able to release it on the Saturday that I usually drop my Dr. Stone reviews right after the Friday when the episodes naturally drop. Just due to, we're just coming off of the weekend of, Thanksgiving and the Black Friday shopping and all that good stuff. And I honestly thought I would not manage to be able to sit down and record this episode on the Friday night after, the episode airs, when I'm able to drop the actual whole episode review out on Saturday. But somehow I managed to squeeze this a lot of time up in there, so I'm hugely thankful for that. And this is for all of y'all that managed to kind of sit here and be able to listen to all of my different reviews and kind of see what my takes are on for every single one of these episodes, though. So I really appreciate all the support y'all been giving for me for all these episode reviews. So I'm just trying to give back and trying to get this episode review out on time, and it's also, a lifesaver on my side because, whenever I'm able to do this, hey, I don't have to worry about playing this game of catch up because I'm, reviewing 4 different types of reviews this series, though. But hey, I'm managing to get this out to y'all, so this one's for y'all, though. So if y'all hadn't already watched my episode 21 review over Dr. Stone, you can go ahead and click that card in the corner and check that video out, and then come back and check this one, though. But overall, I have got to say, with this episode, it's pretty straightforward. I mean, there's not like a lot of bends and twists about it. I mean, there were some really good moments I kind of like with Magma and the way how they kind of approach his character, because, for a while we hadn't had like too much interaction with him ever since like that Grand Bout incident, though. But I really like the way how they kind of portrayed him and kind of showed a little bit of character development for him, because I think it was kind of greatly appreciated, based upon, his past experience with his interaction with Senku group, because he wasn't like the best person, because obviously he was basically out for Senku's blood and everything, because if it weren't for Senku, he probably would have had full control over the village, and Ruri probably would be dead by now, to be honest, though. But overall, it was really nice to see that. And then there was one last little thing that was at the very end of the episode that really kind of caught me by surprise, and actually made me pretty happy, just how they were able to kind of fully connect all the dots in between each other and just managed to end the episode on such a good high note. It was just really enjoyable, though. But overall, I'm about to dive into my thoughts over this episode, though. So go ahead and kick back and relax and get comfortable as we're about to get ready to go over this episode review of Dr. Stone.
やっといなくなってくれたね。石神村から千空ちゃんがさ。
ゼロに達して今をかけて流れる赤い血のよ、背を引いて殻を割って咲いた花の模様をつなげてし、筆を持って取り戻してく命、目に見えないルールがリコーリコールを探しに行く。
So starting off at the very beginning of the episode, we were picking up from the last tail ending moments of the previous episode, where they managed to find that tungsten in that rock thanks to Suika and Chrome, both of them together, and they figured out, hey, we need to find some more. So wherever Chrome managed to find all of this stuff out at, we need to dig up some more. So it was a team of Senku, Chrome, and who would have guessed it, Magma, because they needed Magma's strength in order to kind of dig out all those different stones. So strategically thinking about it, yeah, no one else was going to be able to kind of fulfill that role. So with the knowledge and the manpower, they should be able to, be able to mine all of that material out of there. And however, right before they were about to go, Gen, kind of whispers some weird stuff in his ear, and he was just kind of mouthing some stuff, so we couldn't exactly tell what he was saying at that moment though. And with him being like a mentalist, we didn't know if this was actually like a good or a little bad twist or nothing like that. So at first I was sort of kind of concerned, not that the matter of fact that he was gonna do something bad, but I thought some bad kind of incident was gonna pop up. That was just my gut feeling though. But we found out more about this later on in the episode, and I'll talk about that when we get to it though. But anyway, so these three managed to walk up into the cave, and while they're walking out and about, Senku manages to tell, Chrome and Magma to basically back up and say, hold on here, don't go too far now, because what they're noticing is, the ground was not, sturdy, and you can easily step on it and it will just break through and cave through, and you can see all these different kind of these pits that lead down to some pitfalls, and this is due to the mica that was in the area. And with that stuff it's fairly brittle, and I actually remember this with one of my geology classes, where that stuff is super fragile and it can easily break with your hands. So it's a very kind of weak rock kind of material, so you have to be weary of that. So if one of them happens to fall into one of those pits, that's basically it. They'll basically be trapped down there, and it'll be very hard for them to basically climb their way back up. But in the midst of all of this, you knew something bad was going to go down, because, you got to have some kind of plot up in these episodes, though. And there was one moment where Senku was walking, and then Magma was like, he noticed that something was not right about the situation. And then the dude comes over here and knocks and hits him. And then they're like, oh! And then, Magma manages to, fall down into the ground, and then Senku manages to grab a hold of him. And then Magma was going on his little rant saying, hey, you know what? If it weren't for you, I'll be the village chief. Yada yada yada. Oh, and you know what, man, I'm out for your blood. Like, this is gonna be the perfect opportunity for me to kill you, make it say it was a quote unquote accident, and for me to be able to regain that kind of control that he originally would have had if it weren't for Senku, which obviously kind of makes a lot of sense. And he could have a lot of pent up energy against Senku, and a sense of jealousy due to the fact of all the stuff that kind of happened in between all of them though. But despite all of this, Senku wasn't really buying it, and honestly, while I was watching all this stuff, I wasn't really buying it as well, because I've seen enough anime episodes, just anime in general, to know that, I don't believe the stuff that Magma's saying at that moment in time is actually what he really means to say, because you always have those characters that, talk one way, but actually think and react another way, as the case scenario was whenever he knocked or ran into Senku, and it made it suspicious, like as if he could make him fall into one of those other pit traps, but it was him that got caught up in one. So I'll talk about more about this here in just a moment though. But anyway, both of them managed to fall down in the pit, and there was really no way, honestly, for them to kind of get out. Like, they tried kind of scaling the walls a little bit though, but it wasn't really anything they could do. So Magma was just kind of chilling in there, and Senku was like, you know what, I'm not the one to kind of give up or do basically nothing, while there's really nothing that they can do. But he's not going to basically just sit back, chill back like Magma was, and try to wait for help to come. No, he was going to try to do whatever he could, even though there wasn't really too much for him to do. And then you got to see Chrome over here getting like a bottle or whatever, and started to slowly pour water into the thing. And then instantly Senku thought of the idea. It's like, wait a minute, no, Chrome is on a good idea, or he has a good idea. If we put enough water into the hole, we can basically, flood the pit up to where we can basically swim our way out, essentially. And he noticed that, hey, the water was basically lukewarm, so we don't have to worry about catching hypothermia with us sitting in the water for so long to let the water level rise up to the surface where they're able to hop out of the pit. So they're thinking, hey, you know what, this is a really good idea. And then Senku basically told Chrome some instructions of how he can create a new invention, and he basically essentially created a pump. And I remember doing some of this stuff at my grandparents' house, something with like a fishing kind of aquarium thing, where if you basically get a tube and you fill it up with water, and either you blow on it, or as long as you take the water up and fill the tube up, fully, and then, lower it down to a lower altitude, and then just let go of it, it basically acts as like a pump, and it's just sucking all the water out. Anyway, he was doing that, and it was allowing the water to get sucked out of a pool that was kind of nearby, and just let it kind of flow down into their pitfall. So over time, the water was raising back up to a level, and then I guess it was something with Senku, and with the water. Even though we said they're not gonna catch hypothermia super fast, the water was still cold enough to where if they stayed in there long enough, they were gonna potentially get sick or something like that. But anyway, it was probably the combination of that and the matter of fact that, while you're standing in water, you have to, move your legs around in a certain way to tread water in order to kind of keep your balance afloat above the water. So I think it was a combination of those two things that was basically wearing down Senku a whole bunch. But I think I think Magma was naturally a little bit stronger, and Magma said something on the lines of how he's kind of more adept with being in water and stuff like that, to where with Magma he had a bit more energy in order to kind of keep up this process, and a lot more strength and willpower though. But anyway, Magma basically took Senku, put him on his shoulders, and basically launched him up and out of the water. That way, he was back on surface, so he's good and fine. And Magma, slowly kind of let the water level rise back up, and then he was able to get out. So both of them managed to escape, and it was a good thing that they managed to escape at that time, because if they stayed in there for a bit too long, Senku's number one priority was the matter of fact that they were about to get sick or get some hypothermia though. But it was the matter of fact that him and Magma were basically gonna have to hug and get close to keep body warmed up if they managed to stay in that water for any longer than what he had to do. So it was a nice little comic relief kind of right there, just to kind of sum up the kind of little situation that they were in though. But once both of them managed to escape in the pit, all three of them managed to go deeper in the cave, and then basically managed to run across a skarn deposit. And basically with that skarn deposit, it was basically formed by some geologic events where there was some magma that basically boiled some water, and it had some other kind of mineral properties that was in the water that basically creeped up into the rocks and basically transformed the properties of that rock. So then it kind of turned into some rubies, some gold, some sapphire, anything else that you kind of think that's like a rare precious gemstone that you can possibly think of. Yeah, it was probably within that skarn deposit though. So they basically hit the gold mine in terms of that. So they're able to find the tungsten as well as a bunch of other kind of materials that they could possibly use. And it was during this moment that Magma's personality started to portray its colors, because at first, Chrome was basically on edge, for this whole entire time that they were doing this excavation, trying to find this gemstone and stuff. He was basically on his guard the whole time, because it basically seemed like Magma was basically like putting up like a wall effort in the terms or sense that, hey, you know what, even though he might mean good now, he basically still put up that wall that said, you know what, like, I can take the opportunity to kill you. You know what, I was basically the one in charge, all of this stuff, until you came into the picture, Senku. And then, Senku basically, busted out his wall and essentially said, hey, look, you might say all of this stuff, but it was basically you that tried to save me from falling into that pitfall trap earlier. And then Krone kind of came down to the realization and said, you know what, I'm sorry, man, because I shouldn't have basically accused you of, doing wrong like that, even though you were trying to do good and all of that. And so we basically kind of figure out what Magma's character, that, now he basically means good, but he still sort of kind of holds a small little tiny 1%, maybe 0.5% of a grudge against Senku, though, but it's nothing nearly to the deadly extent that it used to be during that Grand Bout tournament. So it was really nice to kind of see, them all kind of come down to terms and, be able to relate with one another, and basically, throw all that stuff, behind them over their shoulder, and now they're basically all on good terms at this point going forward though. But then we got to a little interesting moment where then, Magma was basically thinking to himself, and he noticed that he remembered one thing that Gen told him, and then we get to see that what Gen basically said towards the very beginning of the episode. And he said for him to bring Senku back by evening time 3 days from now. And Magma was like, oh shoot, time's basically up. So he told the other two, said, hey, you know what, we need to go back now. Whatever you got in your bags right now, that's enough right now. You can't even hold back any more that y'all were probably going to try to dig out of that skarn deposit. So we need to go now. So he basically picked up the other two and kind of forced them out. It moved so heavy, and then he noticed, I guess the sun was kind of going down a little bit more, and then he picked up Senku and he took off. And then Chrome was like, what the heck, like why are you kind of rushing off so fast though? And then he basically tied a blindfold around Senku, and they basically brought him up into one of their huts. And then it made it seem very suspicious because Senku, for a brief moment, started to think, oh, hey, again, I guess you're kind of using your head a little bit, because if you wind up, either killing me or turning me over to Tsukasa's empire, hey, you know what, you'll be able to basically save the whole entire village, because, Tsukasa's basically after me. And they kind of put on a small little front, made it kind of look suspicious, like Kohaku was basically with his idea or whatever, though. But I guess they were sort of kind of just tricking him, because the moment they took that blindfold off, they revealed that, hey, we made this big old telescope, and it was, looking out into the sky, and Senku was already looking straight up into it from the position that they left him off in, and he was able to look straight into the sky, and you were able to see, all the stars, and I believe they basically showed Saturn as well, and, Senku was taking all this in, was like, whoa, like, when did y'all make this? And we get to figure out it was basically in that small period of, while he was gone for 3 days, Gin basically spearheaded the whole entire thing. And he basically, got Senku's little group together to basically create a telescope based upon, the glass making process and the crafting, with the craftsmen over there. They basically put together this big old telescope, and then even all of the other villagers came in and say, hey, let us go ahead and pitch in and help us, build this observatory where they were able to, basically look at anything out in space and everything. And Senku was, really appreciative of it, and he was like, oh, I can actually use this to help spy on the Tsukasa's empire or whatever. Ideally, you could do that too, but that wasn't like the big picture. It was mainly for him, when in space. And this was the thing. This was all because it was Senku's birthday, January 4th, which is actually 3 days after one of the previous episodes of whenever they brought in the new year. And then Senku was talking again, was like, wait, how in the world did you know it was my birthday today? And he basically, there was a few little clues that kind of tipped him off in this regard. And you have to think back to one of the previous episodes whenever he said, hey, I don't even know exactly how many days I've been living, since my petrification event. And then he basically asked a question to Senku, and he said, oh, X amount of days. And then he also remembered a little tiny scene whenever he was with Tsukasa's empire people, and he found a tree whenever Senku managed to write, his birthday and what year it currently is right now within the Stone Age and stuff. And he was kind of, shocked he was pretty shocked to figure out that, hey, Senku was basically keeping track of time this whole entire time while he was petrified. So it was really interesting for him to kind of get his mind wrapped around all of that, though. But the thing that was really heart-touching was the matter of fact that they basically gave him a gift that was super close to his goal in terms of him really wanting to go out in space. And you also got to see that little bit of tie, how, it kind of related with his dad whenever he went out into space. So it was a nice callback from a handful of episodes ago, and just kind of, tying together all these different kind of knots, though. And it was really a gift from the heart, and a pretty perfect gift in terms of Senku for his birthday, though. And other than that, that is about it for this episode, though. So it was a really nice, sweet ending. We got some character development with Magma. Overall, I say this was a solid episode from start to finish, and I really liked it from beginning to end, though. But y'all gotta let me know down in the comment section below, what all did you think about this episode in terms of Magma and his character development with that, and Chrome, and building bridges to be able to get rid of past grudges and stuff like that. And then also that last little birthday gift that Senku managed to get from not only Senku's crew, being Kohaku, Suika, Gin, all the rest of them, Gimro, all the rest of them, but also all of the villagers as well. And matter of fact, they put all that time and energy into making that gift for him in terms of the observatory and the telescope itself. But that is all that I have for this episode review of Dr. Stone. So if you really like this review, go ahead and hit that like button, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and that bell to keep up to date on all things Dr. Stone related. And we only have 2 more episodes left for this whole entire series, or at least for season 1 for all we know right now, though. So it's a little unfortunate that we're really getting close to the end, though, but hey, we just gotta enjoy it for every single second that we got left of it, though. So make sure to tune in next time for episode 23, Wave of Science. So remember, y'all, until whatever video I make next, see y'all!
好きだったのよ、千空ちゃんが。損得は置いといてさ。そういうことでしょ、村のみんなも。 千空ちゃんは気持ち悪いとこ言うだろうけどね。
ああ、気持ち悪い。
でしょ。